Well, hello there, all you amazing boys and girls and whatever. Welcome to the. It's still winter in February, I think. We are going to do another little reaction video because it's so fun to make fun of Linux users. And of course, hashtag not all and all of this jazz last. And why do I make fun of Linux users? Because they act ridiculously. Before we read this whole and I dissect it, comment, like, and subscribe. Again, I'm going to dissect this little comment here, so I will be sorry for my first grade reading skills. I am dyslexic, so bear with me. But a person says that the Linux fanboys wonders why I don't care about Linux anymore. The person responding to this did not really read or understand, or however you will put it, what the OG commenter said, or the original commenter said. Because then Robotron1236, again, random account, because they don't have the balls to stick by what they say, with a main account, with a profile picture, and a name that people can actually figure out who they are, so they can ask more in-depth questions, because they are little pussies. Have that in mind. Then, no, we don't. Okay. So, this person is the collective spokesperson for the collective Linux, FOSS, open source, whatever community it is. This person is regarded as the spokesperson for the whole ecosystem, community involving Linux, FOSS, open source, all of that fucking shit. Nice to know you, Robot. I did not get the memo or seen the notification from the big organizations like FOSS, GNU, LibreOffice, Linus Torvalds himself, pointing you as the spokesperson for this whole thing. But nice to know you. Hope we can have a conversation one day when you grow up and become 18 years old. We know exactly why it is, because you weren't intelligent enough to know how a computer actually works. I'm going to debug this. You don't need to know how a computer works to run software. Those are two different things. How a computer works is like the simplest way of putting it, and the easiest way how to get into understanding how a computer works is like, can you build your own computer, which most people can nowadays. Is more or less just like Lego for grown-ups. Installing an OS has more to do with understanding software or understanding operating systems and how they interact with the hardware. So the fact that, let's say, someone can install Windows, Linux, FreeBSD, Haiku, that don't say that they don't know how a motherboard is put together, or why for AMD the speed of the RAM matters more than it does for Intel CPUs. With the Infinity Fabric, or what it's called, and stuff like that. That is hardware related. Not being able or having problem with an OS is software related, and they can be mutually exclusive. They can also fit together. So let's say you have a graphic card, you can't get that driver to work. Maybe you're installing the wrong driver version, whatever, for your graphic card, so they can overlap a little bit. But right now, within like the first period, this person already showed the world that they are the one not knowing what the fuck they are talking about, okay? So, again, we have to distinguish between, is this a software issue or is this a hardware issue? It's something I deal a lot with at work, because a lot of normies, they think that software and hardware is the same thing. My computer don't work. I come to them, what's wrong? I can't open Microsoft Office. I can't open my mail client. Well, then your computer works. Yeah, it's my mail client that don't work. Okay, so your software don't work. You get the idea here. So I don't care if your Windows PC is... Oh, I don't care if your Windows PC is literally spyware. I prefer them to track your device over mine. So let's hold it down there a little bit. I can do some squiggly bits here, I think. Wait. Yeah, I can do this so I know where I am. I don't care if your PC is literally spyware. I prefer them to track your device over mine. So again, the knowledge of tracking, data collection is lost on this person. So I now ask, that's fine. You say Linux don't track or take data from you. When you do, I guess these are arts user. So if this person puts in like, what is it, Pac-Man and then the SYU kind of thing, and then a call is being sent to a server that has a list or a file, mostly a text file. It's actually not even encrypted in most cases. I think it's not even encrypted on Artisent. They have a file that basically say, these are all the versions and all the packages we have in our repositories, and you have a file or database, call it what you will. I'm oversimplifying it here, by the way. That has the your software on your computer and version number, and they are matching with each other. And then the server says, oh, your packages S, Y, and Z is out of date. Let me now tell you they are out of date. So sending data from the server to your computer with information that they have gathered from your computer to see if there's something out of date. This is like the purest, simplest form of data collection, or telemetry, mostly telemetry I will call it, which is regarded as bad. All telemetry is bad in the high IQ Linux world, or GNU Linux world, or however the fuck they want to call it tomorrow. The they-them Linux world, I don't fucking know. So, is it intrusive? No. Is it bad? No. But it is still data being collected from your machine. Your package manager is collecting data about the software / version numbers that you have on your computer of said software, and comparing it to what's available online, so you then can update. That's like the purest form of it. Then if you go into like what software are you running, if you're running any web browser, there is either a big or small degree data and telemetry taken from that web browser. Again, some web browsers, they only take what's necessary, others they go nuts. So Brave versus Chrome, you get the idea here. So you're being tracked. Then there is website-based tracking that you to some degree can take off with, what is it called, ad blockers and stuff like that. They can also block tracking cookies and stuff like that. But if you go on to any website, there is a high chance they know how long your computer's been on for, how long you've been on the website, how many cores you have, what OS you're running, how much RAM you have. Some even check your storage, etc., etc., etc. That's telemetry. That's the website that tracks that, besides the browser. I could keep going here. So to kind of draw in the point, and I say this a lot, so I'm almost like barfing myself over it. Linux users, like him, or Robotron, I guess it's a guy, don't comprehend that, let's say you are living on Windows and now you're living on Linux, that the amount of data and data collection and telemetry that is not being taken of you is the equivalent of you having a big bucket of water, and you take a dirty ass Linux Nerdshare cup, sip those salty tears a little bit, and you dip that into the bucket, and you take that water and you pour it out into the water or into the ocean or on the floor or something like that. Okay, this is the amount of telemetry that I'm not getting gathered from. You still have, like, if it's like a 50-liter bucket, you still have, like, this is like a 350 milliliter cup. You are only protected from 350 milliliters out of like 50 liters. You're saved that much water. Data collection and telemetry only makes sense that you protect yourself against if you do it as a lifestyle, as a whole, and not just, I install Linux, I install Brave, I'm now secure. No, you're not. You need to know exactly what each program does that you have on your computer, which 99% of people don't do, especially people like him, because it takes effort and knowledge. You also need to have like a shit ton of add-ons to your browser that actually tells you what is being tracked on each and individual website, which can be difficult. And it's super irritating, because if you take that tracking off, a lot of websites don't fucking work. Here's another thing. Even if you're using Proton Mail and all that fucking shit, you're using a website that requires a login for you to comment. They now have an email and or MAC addresses and or IP addresses, even if you go through VPNs, because VPNs still have your IP tunneled in that protocol. It's just a little bit harder to find, but it can be found if people want to. That's now associated with a rough area of where you live. I got my what is it called? The Rockstar account hacked from Red Dead Redemption like years ago. From the email, I could figure out what country and what city the hacker lived in. It was that simple to figure out that, because they typed to me when I got my account back, because they apparently spent some money on it or something like that. They want something back, and they wanted to be my friend. It was like, you live in this country, and you live in this area. I could dial it down to the neighborhood they lived in. So you live on this street, within those 5 houses. Let's just say they didn't talk to me and they disappeared from the face of the earth. So a little bit long-winded of place how clueless most people are when it comes to this. So I actually want normies like you to keep using it. So he already here, mid-paragraph, has basically told us and everyone else reading and listening to my weird voice that he should be running Windows because he has no fucking idea what he's doing. He's the normie here. More normies using Linux dumps it down to the point where you end up in an OS level ads, which is concretely false. I run macOS right now. I like it. You will say, I will agree, that macOS is super more dumbed down than even Windows is. I don't have OS level ads on macOS. I do have OS level ads on Android, which this person will probably regard as a Linux distribution. How easy and convenient an OS is has nothing to do with the capabilities of said OS or what the developers are doing with the OS. No matter what OS you use, you can learn the same stuff about anything that's regarded software development, computers, and IT whatsoever. Whatever you think, I can only learn this on Linux. You can learn on FreeBSD, you can learn on Haiku, you can learn on Windows. Some places may require you a little bit of setup, some places may require you to actively go and seek that knowledge out. But you can. Again, tell me how clueless you are without telling me that you're clueless. A closed source snap store and tons of telemetry. Again, I talked about telemetry before. They have no fucking idea what they're doing. This is my perfect thing here. Just look at Ubuntu. It's basically Windows. No, it's not. No, it's not. Windows at this point, and is totally unrecognizable for what the vision of us was supposed to be. Okay. So, no. Ubuntu is not Windows. Ubuntu has just become big. Ubuntu just has become streamlined. Ubuntu is doing what Linux companies or FOSS companies needs to do to make money to give you free shit. Unless, which I don't think this person does, unless you start to donate hundreds of dollars, probably more than once a year, to people like Ubuntu, Arch Linux and stuff like that, you are going to make them have to do this to keep the fucking light on. Who do you think pay the developers? And nowhere in FOSS's, or let me put it another way, nowhere in the GNU license or GPL license or in the FSF's mentor or bullet points of how software should be does it says that you should not pay for software, they should not be able to make money from software, and they should not be able to monetize software. And that is what Ubuntu does, or Canonical does with Ubuntu. This is what IBM does with Red Hat. This is what SUSE do with SUSE. They are monetizing their OS so they can get or OS and ecosystems, so they can get money to develop it so you can get your free shit. The only way, if you don't want Ubuntu to be what it is today, you have to start to pay for Ubuntu. And we're not talking $10. For you, with the user base Ubuntu have, for that to be financially liable for them to do that without doing all of the shit you don't like them doing, you probably have to pay about $200 to $300 per Linux dist or per Ubuntu release. So that's 2 times a year. For them to be able to pay the developers, pay hardware manufacturers, pay R&D, keep their offices on, etc., etc., etc. And here's another thing. Because these stupid ass people, let's take telemetry and data collection. Can you find me somewhere in the GPL or any FOSS or open source license that says that they don't agree with telemetry and data collection? It's not there. Can you find any mission statement from the Free Software Foundation that says that telemetry and data collection is against what they, against their what it's supposed to be? It's not there. What the Open Source Foundation, the Free Software Foundation, or Initiative, what the fuck they all are called, the GPL, all they are about is one thing. And you will know this if you actually read a license once in a while. They care about source code availability. The Free Software Foundation, Richard Stallman, the GNU GPL license, was built so the source code is always open and available for modifications, and if you modify it, you send the modification back. That is the purpose of it. So if it has telemetry, you can take it out and you send this change back to the developer if you want to. But it's not anti-telemetry, it's not anti-data collection. This is something that the user base, the average Linux user, have put onto the meaning of GPL, free software, FOSS, and all that shit. This is something the user base have, for some fucking weird reason, probably because some YouTubers think it's like that. Like, I can look at DistroTube, Chris Titus Tech, Mental Outlaw, they all say the same shit, that it goes against the FOSS with telemetry. No, it don't. Richard Stallman has even said in his licenses, or outlined ways of making money with FOSS software. And you know what? Ubuntu is following those fucking examples. So Ubuntu is basically doing what the FOSS community or what the Free Software Foundation recommend them to do. Keep the source code open, make money on services and third-party software add-ons, additions to the software. Have the source code open, make money on being the company that services it, that helps companies, organizations implement it. It's in the fucking GPL, and it's on the FOSS website as a recommendation how we can make money. So again, the amount of stupidity that these Linux users come out with is so funny to me. That they think that they are this intelligent, superior being. Like they are aliens coming from a fucking faraway galaxy, seeing us monkeys running around throwing shit and sticks at each other. While they themselves are throwing shit and sticks at each other, but think that they are better. It's... Oh, God. Normies would literally be eating crayons if FDA told them they were good for you. Maybe crayons are not good for you in the States, but I don't think there's any harmful stuff in them in the EU. So go nuts. So all of this sentence here is someone being butthurt over someone don't like Linux. And without giving any concrete evidence, or say, okay, I understand why you like Windows more than Linux. And then give technical reasons for it. Like he could have said with the OS level ads, which it's not OS level, it's UI level ads, by the way. There's a difference there again. The ads on Windows is not built into the kernel, they are built into the UI side of it. You know what other technology that have ads level built into them on the UI side? KDE, Plasma, Qt, however you pronounce it. That framework has built on a framework level for you to serve ads in anywhere you want. People just don't do it, but it's there. So saying that Windows has OS level ads, well, Linux kind of have it also if you're using Plasma. The fact of the matter is that nobody uses it, but it's there. Again, understand your fucking shit. Why are there library level ads available for the Qt or Qt library? Well, you have to realize that it's mostly used for embedded system, so in cars and stuff like that, mobile phones, etc., where we are getting served ads left, right, and center, to be honest, more than on any fucking traditional OS. And it's been built into the Qt library, by customer demand. Maybe not the Linux customers, but vehicle manufacturers, IoT manufacturers, and stuff like that. This paragraph here is typical of the terminally online, low IQ, small minority, but loud minority of Linux users that are online. And I will ask you all this. You all wonder why I am making videos like this. You wonder why people say Linux have a toxic community. Well, if you go online, if you go on any social media, if you go on any fucking forum, you will be battling a lot of people like this. There are a lot of good people, but you will be battling a lot of people like this. You don't see this as much in Windows, on Mac forums. They are there, but not to the same degree. So if you're telling me Linux don't have a toxic user problem, a deranged user problem, all of you amazing, good, helpful, strong individuals that don't say anything because they don't want to dip their dick in crazy, you have to hold these kind of people accountable. You have to go on. If you see a comment like this and you're one of the good guys, you have to comment and say, hey, we can all disagree, but this is not how we talk to each other here. Be civil. You may not understand the whole situation. This person here has been using, like, the person Roboton respond to is actually in my Discord. This is where I got this. This person's been using Linux for years. They have a computer degree, I think, computer software degree. They probably know more about software and computer than Roboton 1236 does. So what they should have said would be like, hey, I don't agree with your statement because I think I know why you like Windows. And then say, you don't mind telemetry, you don't mind ads, it may be more accessible for you. Throwing words around like normies is a low IQ way of addressing another person. I don't like the word normies because we all are normies to some degree in everything. If you don't think you're a normie, you are stupid. Because only people that don't think they're normies, that means that I know everything. I can't learn anything more. So therefore, I'm not a normie. Normies mean just normal user. Everyone is a normal user. Unless you are doing like a nuclear fusion with Linux. Or solving the string theory with Linux on a code level. You are a normal user with Linux. For you not to be a normal user, you have to do things the average Linux user don't do. And here's the thing. Most users on Linux are average Linux users because they do the same shit. You have to do something only under 1% of the user base of Linux do to not be a normie. And most of us don't. You could say that content creators that use Linux to do content are not normies because they're using Linux as an educational springboard to teach coding and stuff like that. So therefore, they're doing something that the 99% percentile of Linux users don't do. Compiling a program, 99% percentile of Linux users have done that and do that at some point in their life. Running ads, most Linux users have tried ads at one point in their life. So you are normie. I hate that word. I barely use it myself, and then when I do, I feel dirty on the inside. But it's it's a word that only, to be frank here, stupid people use. When you use the word normie and power user to some degree, I hate that word also. It just tells me how little you understand about what's going on here. Like, you basically are clueless. Especially if you're just a fucking average working class person wanting Linux to say fuck you to big corporations. That is the vast majority of people using Linux that do that. You are the normie. There are more people with a higher IQ that are making more money than you can dream of using Windows and Mac OS than Linux. Why do you think most of your fucking educators are not running Linux? Why is it that the people that are teaching you fucking Linux, software development and stuff like that, why is it the vast majority of those are running either Mac or Windows? Would you call them a normie? Because why the fuck are you listening to them then? If those people are the normies, why are you learning from them? You are already better than them. You are already smarter than them. You should be teaching them. If you want to learn something, do you look what OS the person used before you take in their learning? Or say, yes, I want to attend that class or listen to that course? Is the first thing you ask your professor or your industry specialist in something, what OS are you going to use to teach me this thing or present this thing? And if they say Windows and Mac OS, you're just like, yep, I already know more than you. I will take my fat ass out of here. Is that how you guys and girls are doing this? Or do you learn from people not using Linux? Which the vast majority of people do. So calling non-Linux users normies and unintelligent and stupid, it just shows how massively below average IQ you are as a person. I'm sorry to say it, but I'm digging out reality checks left, right, and center today, but it's the truth. And I am fed up with the gatekeepers of Linux being the lowest tier common sense person on earth, like people like this dude or do that here. If the gatekeepers of Linux was DJ Ware or someone that has been working in the open source Linux industry for decades, if they were the gatekeepers, if they were the ones dictating what FOSS was and was not, what Linux was and was not, I will fucking take my man titties and bow down before them and say, yes, my queen, my boss, my god. But the sad reality is the gatekeepers of Linux has become the most illiterate, the most unknowledgeable computer users on earth. Because this person here would 100% not be able to run Linux in the 90s and early 2000s. They could not even install the most user-friendly Linux distribution back then. But because Linux has become so accessible, the normies who say that dumbs down Linux are now the one thinking Linux is not dumbed down. When it is. The vast majority of Linux distributions are easier to install than Windows. The vast majority of Linux distributions are as easy or easier to maintain than Windows. So that by that measurement, that means that you need to know less about computers, less about software running Linux. It's like having a translator translating languages for you, and you tell the world that you are a language expert and you can speak thousands of languages. This is the average Linux user nowadays. See you all later. Bye bye.